So good afternoon, participants. So we will share that video.
നമസ്കാരം. എല്ലാവർക്കും ചിങ്ങം 1-ന്റെ നന്മ നിറഞ്ഞ ആശംസകൾ നേരുകയാണ്. നമ്മുടെ എനർജി മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റ് സെൻറ്ററും കേന്ദ്ര സർക്കാരിൻ്റെ ഊർജ മന്ത്രാലയത്തിന് കീഴിലുള്ള ബ്യൂറോ ഓഫ് എനർജി എഫിഷ്യൻസിയും റീബിൽഡ് കേരളയും സംയുക്തമായി ഓർഗനൈസ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്ന ഈ വെബ് സെമിനാർ വളരെ സന്തോഷത്തോടു കൂടിയാണ് ഞാൻ ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്നത്. നമ്മുടെ ഊർജ്ജ മേഖലയ്ക്കാകെ ഊർജം പകരുന്ന ഒരു പരിപാടിയാണ് നിങ്ങൾ ഏറ്റെടുത്തിട്ടുള്ളത് എന്ന് ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ പറയാൻ ഞാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുകയാണ്. ക്ഷീരമേഖല ഇന്ന് കേരളത്തിൽ വികസിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു മേഖലയാണ്. പാലിൻ്റെ ഉൽപ്പാദനത്തിനും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ സംസ്കരണത്തിനും വിപണനത്തിനും അതോടൊപ്പം പാൽ ഉൽപ്പന്നങ്ങളുടെ സംസ്കരണത്തിനും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ വിപണനത്തിനും എല്ലാം ഊർജം വളരെ അത്യാവശ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള സംഗതികളാണ്. ആ നിലയിൽ ഡയറി സെക്ടറിലെ ഊർജത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രാധാന്യം വളരെ പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ടതാണ്. പരമാവധി ഊർജം നമുക്കെങ്ങനെ കുറച്ച് ഏറ്റവും ഫലപ്രദമായ രീതിയിൽ ഡയറി സെക്ടറിനെ നമുക്ക് മുന്നോട്ട് കൊണ്ടുപോകാൻ കഴിയും എന്നുള്ളത് ഈ മേഖലയിലെ മുഴുവൻ ആളുകളും ആലോചിക്കേണ്ടുന്ന സംഗതി തന്നെയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൂടെ കണക്കിലെടുത്ത് ക്ഷീരമേഖലയിലെ മുഴുവൻ ആളുകളും അതുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുള്ള ക്ഷീര കർഷകരടക്കം ക്ഷീരവുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുള്ള ചെറുകിട വ്യവസായങ്ങളും സംരംഭങ്ങളും നടത്തുന്നവരടക്കം എല്ലാവരും ഈ സെമിനാർ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുന്നത് നന്നായിരിക്കും, ഉചിതമായിരിക്കും എന്ന് തന്നെയാണ് എൻ്റെ അഭിപ്രായം. എനർജി മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റ് സെൻറ്റർ നടത്തുന്ന നിരവധിയായിട്ടുള്ള എനർജി സംരക്ഷണവുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് നടത്തുന്ന നിരവധിയായിട്ടുള്ള സെമിനാറുകളുടെ ഭാഗമായിട്ടാണ് ഈ സെമിനാറും സംഘടിപ്പിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്. ഡയറി സെക്ടർ വളർന്നു വരുന്ന ഒരു സെക്ടർ എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിൽ പരമാവധി എനർജിയുടെ ഉപഭോഗം കുറച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഈ സെക്ടറിൽ പെട്ട സംരംഭകർക്കും കർഷകർക്കും പരമാവധി ലാഭം ഉണ്ടാക്കി കൊടുക്കാൻ കഴിയുന്ന ഒരു മേഖല കൂടിയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ആധുനികമായിട്ടുള്ള എല്ലാ സംവിധാനങ്ങളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചും എനർജി മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് എനർജി മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റിലെ എഫിഷ്യൻസി അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ആധുനിക സാങ്കേതിക വിദ്യകൾ ഉപയോഗിക്കേണ്ട കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഇവയെല്ലാം ഇതിൻ്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ട് വരും എന്നാണ് ഞാൻ കരുതുന്നത്. പല ഭാഗങ്ങളിലായ എക്സ്പെർട്ടുകൾ ഇതിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അവരുടെ എല്ലാ അഭിപ്രായങ്ങൾ എല്ലാവരും ശ്രദ്ധിച്ച് ഈ മേഖലയെ കൂടുതൽ സമ്പന്നമാക്കുന്നതിനുതകുന്ന ഇത്തരം ഒരു സെമിനാറിന് അത് സംഘടിപ്പിച്ച എനർജി മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റ് സെൻറ്ററിനെയും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ റീബിൽഡ് കേരളയെയും ബ്യൂറോ ഓഫ് എനർജി എഫിഷ്യൻസിയെയും ഞാൻ ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ പ്രത്യേകമായി അഭിനന്ദിക്കുന്നു. എല്ലാ ആശംസകളും നേരുന്നു. ഈ വെബിനാർ ഒരു വൻപിച്ച വിജയമാകട്ടെ എന്ന് ഞാൻ ആശംസിക്കുന്നു.
So good afternoon, dear delegates. So we have heard the message from our Honorable Dairy Minister regarding the importance of energy conservation in different processing of milk products, like we are using day by day, not only milk, other products also we are using. So we'll proceed with the welcome address. So a warm good afternoon to dear all participants on behalf of Energy Management Institute of Energy Management Center Kerala. So EMC, a warm welcome to this program. EMC, as many of you may know, under the Department of Power, Government of Kerala, is the state designated agency of Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Government of India. Government of India have engaged in promotion of energy efficiency and having the mandate to enforce provisions of Energy Conservation Act 2001 in Kerala state. EMC was established in 1996 as an autonomous body. You may agree that new technological trends in the energy efficiency and sustainable development are being introduced in the dairy sector, throughout which drastic reduction in the energy consumption profile are attained, resulting in achievement of remarkable energy and cost savings and a greener environment. The dairy industry is one of the energy intensive industries under the MSME sector. Dairy industries are well established in both cooperative and private sectors. Milk is processed in dairy to different products such as packaged milk in different quality, standards, ghee, then butter, curd, flavored milk, ice cream, milk powder, UHT milk, etc. There are a variety of products. Then in order to meet the projected demand of 180 million tons of milk by the year of 2021 up to 2022, milk production in the country has to grow by 5 million tons annually, double than the present growth, which is the tune of 2.5 million tons per annum, which will increase the energy consumption in this sector. Energy efficiency plays a crucial role in reducing the energy consumption and optimizing the energy input per product line and way forward to energy conservation. Today's speaker, engineer K.M. Vijayakumaran, he is a mechanical engineer graduate and also he is a B certified energy manager. He has a long experience in the dairy sector of Kerala since the year 1982. He had been in the field of energy efficiency over 16 years. He is now the managing director of MRC MPU, that is Malabar Milk Union. He has played a pivotal role in implementing and developing new technologies and energy conservation practices for the operational efficiency and performance improvement in the dairy sector. Currently, he is working as the managing director for Malabar Milma. We know that Milma, they have got enormous awards also in energy conservation in the state as well as the national level. The digital platform for hosting the webinar is provided by Indian Institute of Information Technology and Management, Kerala. Considering the COVID-19 scenario, EMC is organizing a series of webinars on various topics. The first of its kind was started in 5th June. A webinar calendar was prepared by EMC titled Energy Efficiency in All Walks of Life from Lamps to Boilers. The same is published in our website www.keralaenergy.gov.in. If you have any doubts during the webinar, you need not wait till the end and make use of the public chat box in this platform. You can see the public chat box in the bottom left. Then some of your doubts may not be cleared at that time itself, but EMC people will compile the question and get the answers from the speaker and prepare a FAQ booklet. The booklet will be shared to all participants along with the recorded video of the webinar through email. I wish you all a very fruitful and interesting section. Thank you. So over to you, Vijay Master.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for the nice introduction by Mr. Anish. And we welcome the message from Dairy Minister Advocate K. Raju, Dairy Minister, Government of Kerala. I am Vijayakumaran, basically a mechanical engineer, working in this field since 1980s. Presently managing director of Malabar Milk Union with registered office at Calicut, comprising 6 districts of Kerala as operational area. Coming to this webinar, I acknowledge the constant support extended by Energy Management Center Vice Director Mr. Hari Kumar, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Government of India, of course my colleagues, Mr. Premanand as engineering head as well as energy manager of MRC MPU, and his subordinates. Next. I am sharing the best practices in energy conservation, what we have practiced in dairy sector in our 6 dairies across Malabar. The practices which are the photos shown in this presentation are real photos which our people have taken, and all professionalism has induced in each and every slide. This is the general view of a typical dairy. Now, presently, this is Calicut dairy with a processing capacity of 2 lakh liters per day, along with the other products. This is general information with respect to Malabar Milk Union. Malabar Milk Union started in 1991. It's a 1,200 crore company having 1,000 plus milk dairy cooperatives as affiliated members, and major dairies in 5 districts, and 1 dairy is under construction in Malappuram district. We have 4 milk chilling plants and milk chilling bulk milk coolers in village cooperatives. Its capacity varying from 1 KL to 5 KL. We have 1 exclusive products dairy at North Bepur and exclusive human resource development center, training center at North Bepur. For the decentralized marketing, we have marketing depots at 8 centers under the dairies, as well as 1 ice cream plant attached to Kozhikode Dairy in Kundamangalam. To support the farmers, we have a straw baling unit as well as TMR plant. TMR means total mixed ration plant as an alternate feed to cattle. This is our vision statement that we follow for the last 3 decades. This is our energy policy. We, MRCMPU, is committed to improve energy efficiency and performance through monitoring closely and control consumption of various forms of energy through continuous improvement process, upgradation of process technologies, continually monitoring and improving the manufacturing process to reduce energy consumption, promoting renewable energy and green initiatives to conserve natural resources, comply with all applicable legal requirements related to energy consumption, creating awareness among the employees of all levels, and maximizing the usage of waste energy, recovery of waste energy. This is our performance of procurement and sales since 1990. That is, we have a humble beginning with the 60 KL, that is 60,000 liters of milk as procurement during 1990. Presently, we crossed 7 lakhs in procurement and 5 lakhs in sales. Then coming to energy conservation scenario, we have a well-defined energy policy since 2004. Committed top management, that is our speciality in this. Our top management, board members as well as managing directors are committed for the energy conservation and management. Energy management committee in each dairy, headed by dairy manager with functional heads as members, coordinated by the dairy engineer. Energy management committee works in guidance with energy manager at corporate level, who is a certified energy manager. Energy audit conducted in every 3 years. Though we have not a designated consumer, mandatorily we are doing energy audits in every 3 years. And we have extending exclusive trainings to all level of employees about energy conservation. This is our, for the past 22 decades, our turnover increased from 113 crores to 1,200 crores. That is almost 10 times. But our energy cost, that is it is increased from 2.5 crores to 12.33 crores. That is below 5-fold. That shows a clear indication. It's a clear indication of energy conservation and practices followed by MRCMPU for the last many years. To add on that slide, our energy consumption, that is, earlier it was 2.21% of total revenue previously. It is reduced to 1.03%. One reason for that is our majority of our milk, major quantity of our milk procured from village level cooperative, it is chilled at the source itself, that is village level itself, and it is transported to dairies and in net effect, we are reducing the transportation cost also as well. This electrical load balance in Malabar Union, as we all know, refrigeration is the main energy consuming area. That is, it accounts for 36% of total electrical consumption. The process goes to 16%, and packing and storage goes to 13%, air compressor 10%, effluent treatment plant it is 6%. That is, we are more eco-friendly process we are practicing. That is, ETP itself, it consumes 6% of total electrical load balance. Coming to cost of energy, main energy is electrical power, that is 69, accounts for 69% of the total energy cost, followed by 22% for thermal energy, that is briquette, but all our boilers are biofuel fueled boilers, and diesel, that is self-generating power, that is diesel accounts for 7%. Of course, we have 1 or 2 furnace oil fired boiler as an emergency standby. It accounts for 2% of total energy cost. Converting that energy consumption profile in a common platform, that is million ton oil equivalent. Furnace oil, it is already stated, it is 2%. Electric power, that costs 31% of metric ton of oil equivalent. Briquette, that is major chunk of our boiler running on briquette, that is firewood waste, firewood waste and agricultural waste, and it accounts for 59% of total. And diesel used for self-generation of power in case of KCV power failure, it accounts for 8% of the total energy, and its percent is 8%, that is metric ton oil equivalent. Then coming to real energy conservation practices, in thermal, I have classified in thermal, electrical and non-conventional. Coming to thermal, mainly as we have stated, 36% of energy used in dairy industry, it is consumed by the refrigeration systems. There, much heat energy is dissipated to atmosphere, where we have installed desuperheaters in ammonia refrigeration plants. Total our capacity is 700 TR desuperators. That is recovery of waste heat, and unless it will be dissipated to atmosphere by atmospheric condensers and all. Another thing, heat recovery units in bulk coolers. It is a miniature form of desuperators, and the bulk coolers fitted across the milk cooperatives in village level. It accounts for 300 CR. And again, in this case also, the refrigeration plants, that is chilled milk cooling plants, are fitted with heat recovery units. Though it is tiny forms, but when bundling, it contributes much. Then coming to adoption of improved technology, we are using energy efficient milk and curd processing plants with multiple regenerating sections. Our milk pasteurizers used in our dairies, it is 93% regenerating efficiency. Hence, it is also contributing to the energy efficiency. Then coming to compressors, we are replacing all the conventional reciprocating compressors to either high-speed V compressors or screw compressors in a phased manner. To make our canteen, that is employee support schemes, all our canteens are fitted with biogas plants, and by biomethanization of all the canteen waste to, that is waste to energy policy. Our auto CIP systems, that is cleaning in place systems used in dairies, all are water conservation as well as energy conservation, that as are built like that. Then condensate recovery from process fat, that is, the ghee, what is manufactured in our plants, or peda and palada, which are all coming under batch process scheme. All the condensate recovered from the water steam jackets are completely recovered and treated as boiler feed water. Then expanding this thermal conservation, coming to desuperator, we have installed in 2004 we have installed one desuperator Kasaragod dairy as a prototype, and by its success story we have installed similar 6-7 pieces, and now at present Union total 703 are desuperator in all dairies. Coming to curd plant, that is regeneration, we have 3-stage regeneration in curd plants, and we have 6 plants of 5 kLph each across dairies. Coming to higher regeneration efficiency, milk pasteurization plants of 93% regeneration efficiency, we have various makes of pasteurizers, IDMC or Tetra Pak or Repute, like that. Then ammonia compressors, we are using screw compressors as well as V-shaped compressors, that is multi-cylinder high-speed compressors in the refrigeration. Then coming to condensate recovery, all our vats, that is batch process vats, are fitted with the condensate recovery system. Then cooling towers we are using are fanless cooling towers, where water quality is not a problem and abundant quantity of water is used. It is used as in our ice cream plant as well as in small chilling centers. We are using conventional type cooling towers, and by conserving electric power. Then coming to electrical, in 2000 onwards we have installed auto power factor capacitors at the APFC in all units. That is, our power factor ranges from 0.99 to unity in all units across the year. And VFD controls used in induced draft fan as well as in pumps and chill water condensers. We are using optimization by automation through VFD in all high capacity motors. Then coming to illumination, we have our latest dairy in Malayavar dairy, that is in Kannur. It is 100% LED lighting. It is one of the first in India itself. And in phased manner, we are changing the CFL as well as metal halide lamps to LED in a phased manner on replacement methods. That is real photos of APFC. Then VFD controlled chill water system, VFD in ID fan, in boilers, LED system 100% LED in Malayavara dairy. It is also a 1 lakh liter capacity dairy in Kannur district. Then coming to non-conventional energy, usage of non-conventional energy. In each and every plant we have solar water heaters, since dairies are using much hot water for cleaning of utensils, trays, cans, etc. And we have one 30 kWp solar plant, grid connected solar plant in Calicut dairy, and all the officers are having small capacity, that is 5 kWp numbers, 8 numbers in all offices. Solar plant grid connected are connected in APCOs, village level APCOs also as well. We have 125 and 113 and 110. That is 3 installations are already done through the technical support with ANERT. Another thing what we are using in natural light and ventilation, we are using transparent panels as well as turbine ventilators for maximizing the usage of natural light and ventilation. Then all our boilers are 3-pass boilers, that is maximum heat energy is converted to as process, and air preheaters also used in place of economizers in our boilers. Next follows photos is 3 kW PV, solar PV in Calicut dairy. 30 kWp in Calicut dairy. Then natural light and ventilation in Kannur dairy, that is, you are seeing the visitors bay in Kannur dairy, and the visitors can may not enter to dairy plant, and they can view the entire dairy plant through the visitors, and the entire dairy plant is with natural light. And LED street lighting on replacement of CFL and MH lamps across all dairies. Then coconut shell or bio briquettes. Bio briquettes are used in all dairies. And then electric vehicles, that is campus for transportation of goods and packing materials inside campus to go down to process area. We are using electric vehicles, and already we have last year we have purchased one in Wayanad dairy, and we have 5 more in other dairies. Then we are empowering our primary cooperative societies also for non-conventional energies. Earlier, solar water heating systems were using solar PV earlier, but we have converted many of them with HRU, that is heat recovery units across the APCOs. And electrical solar, coming to solar PV grid connected, already we have one at Kasaragod, that is Balandod APCOs, another one in Calicut in Maikav APCOs, and 2 are under construction in Wayanad, that is one at Meenangadi and one at Teneri. Yes. For monitoring the energy consumption as well as the quality in APCOs level, we have cloud-based VMC monitoring systems, that is operation of the refrigeration compressor for cooling milk in primary cooperative societies can be monitored from our office itself through a cloud-based software system, and it is we have 216 BMCs like that. By trial we have implemented 12 numbers across each and every district, and we are implementing all the BMCs in cloud-based connecting system. Then, as rightly pointed out in earlier slides, heat recovery units in BMCs. Earlier, we are using solar water heating system in BMCs. In many BMCs are situated in the plantations or rubber plantations like that. Shade are coming a major problem there. We have converted many of it to heat recovery units, that is waste heat recovery from BMC compressors. That is stage. That is earlier, during 2000, electric geysers were used as a source for cleaning utensils and cans in the BMCs, and the high 5 kW or so electric geysers were used. Due to high electric charges there, we have converted many of them to solar water heaters in a phased manner, and at present we have installed heat recovery units, that is desuperators for the BMC compressors as well. It is sustainable and much eco-friendly. Coming to water conservation. Water conservation is equally important since dairies are using almost 1:1 or 1:0.8 liter of water for each and every liter of milk processing. Treating water in the effluent treatment plant is also very important. In our dairies, in Calicut as well as in Malayavari dairy, we are using this treated water after activated carbon filter, and previous it is pressure sand filter as well as activated carbon filter. We are using this water for primary wash water for trays, and rainwater harvesting are used in all dairies. Then cooling water recirculation milk filling machines for water conservation, and we have bagged many awards from Kerala State Pollution Control Board continuously from 2007 onwards till last year. Then we can see that the impact of reducing carbon footprints. That is, when you use solar water heater or DC superheater for making hot water, there will be no emission at all. No carbon footprints will be there, no emissions, no carbon. Secondly, when we are using briquettes, that is biofuel as boiler fuel, we will have some emission, that is almost 1.84 kg of CO2 per kg of briquettes or firewood used. That is reducing the fossil fuel and replacing that fossil fuel with bio briquettes. When we are using furnace oil or diesel or any fossil fuel, 3.11 kg of CO2 will be emitted per kg of furnace oil. That is, you can see when we are converting our process, that is from furnace oil to briquette or natural sources, the reduction of carbon dioxide, that is carbon footprint, can much reduce. That is only a calculation, that is equivalent saving of 28,000 kg of furnace oil per year for generating secondary hot water in our Calicut dairy. The furnace oil saving, that is 98 MT of furnace oil emits 304,780 kg of CO2 while combustion. That is, we are reducing that carbon footprint. Similarly, coming to briquettes, when we are using briquettes, 230 ton of briquettes per year. That is 230 ton equivalent is 4,23,200 kg of CO2 while combustion. Then coming to when we are using LPG as fuel in kitchen, that is canteen, when we are using biogas, CO2, that is by CO2 equivalent, that is biomethane, will be combusted in the combustion chamber of biogas fuel. When we are using firewood, it will be 1.83 kg CO2 per kg of firewood. And when we using LPG, it will be almost 3 kg per CO2 per kg. Then when we are converting all our waste to biogas by biomethanization, that we will be more eco-friendly. That is our consumption. That is, we are reducing 3 LPG cylinders from reducing the consumption of 3 LPG cylinders in a month. The energy conservation practices what we are followed at present and for the last many years. The desuperator, it is theoretical approach. Pointer.
Sir, what happened, sir?
No, just I am using the pointer to.
Okay, sir.
That is, I think everyone can see.
Yes. Yes. We can use the pen also.
The pointer, is it visible?
Yes, sir. It is. We are pointing near the compressor.
This is our ammonia compressor. The heat of compression, that high pressure, high temperature ammonia is passed. It's not working. Is it not working?
Now it is visible, sir.
You can.
Desuperator, yes.
Yeah, it is not moving. That's all. Huh? Yes, you can come to compressor. From compressor discharge is high pressure, high temperature ammonia, which is earlier it was directly passed to condenser. And from condenser it is cooling tower. Cooling water is coming from the cooling water tower. And it is going back, and it is complete heat is rejected to the atmosphere, and it is the high pressure normal temperature ammonia is received in the liquid receiver of the ammonia plant. Then we are inserting the desuperator system in the system. Then the complete high pressure, high temperature ammonia is passed to the desuperator, where that is potable water is passed through the coils, and ammonia, the entire heat from the ammonia, that is almost we can save up to 60 degrees centigrade, 60 degree temperature is passed through the cooling water, and that water is used for our tray washing, can washing, and tanker washing, that purposes. Thereby we are reducing the condenser load, that is atmospheric condenser load, as well as the quantity pumped, that is quantity pumped for the heat rejection, the quantity of water pumped, the pumping charge also, pumping number of pumps engaged for cooling is also reduced. The two-way we are taking the advantage in the system. That is the desuperator. In our Malabar Union, all the dairies are fitted with the desuperator, and we are getting almost 70% of our total hot water through the system. Next. That is almost a calculation tapping waste heat from ammonia discharge line using desuperrated. We are getting 76 deciliter secondary hot water and is used for our tray can or tanker cleaning systems. That is investment is 12 lakhs. That is desuperrated as plus all the hot water connections with insulation and all. Annual furnace oil consumption before it was 100 KL. Furnace, it is equivalent, not furnace oil. It is furnace oil equivalent. It is coming to common denomination. Then that hot water require, we need not run the boiler for hot water generation. Then simple payback period is less than 6 months. It is almost 4 months only. Next. It is VST based chill water. Another major consumption in dairy is chill water. Chill water in the sense we are using chill water for milk chilling, pasteurization, and the other jacketed type processes, and ice cream plant also. In this case, the chill water requirement round the clock will vary. That is from 10 KL to it will vary to 10 to 50 KL. Likewise, when we are using same pumping system and for the entire period, that is entire 24 hours, it will be very expensive. Then we have introduced one system, VFT controlled 1.5 lakhs liter per hour capacity chill water system. That is, in all systems, the chill water circulation contains one 10 HP pump and one 15 HP pump. The 15 HP pump alone was used to get minimum flow, and combination with 15 HP and 10 HP you could get maximum flow. Then we have replaced the system with 7.5 HP 6 pumps, and the minimum requirement will be met with the 7.5 HP pump, and when we require maximum, we run 3 pumps. Again, one 7.5 HP pump is coupled with the VFD, thereby the fractional adjustment and the requirement of chill water is met through the system. It's a PLC based system, and the project was supported by EMC, Energy Management Center, and we have financially supported and technically supported by Energy Management Center. Okay. Then this is village level cooperative BMC heat recovery unit. That is the heat recovery unit, that is heat of compression from the small compressor fitted with the BMC. That entire heat is rejected to a tank which is having dimpled jacket, either dimpled jacket or coil jacket, and it is rejected and the water is collected for cleaning the equipment in the BMC. In 2007 and 8, we have provided 3 kW or 2 kW, maximum 5 kW electric geysers, and all are replaced with heat recovery units, and 300 liter water at 60 to 70 degree is available in the morning as well as in the evening for a 5 KL BMC. That is, we have eliminated that geyser and the entire hot water required. Especially it is very sensitive during winter years, especially in Wayanad and high range areas. We are using this system, and the village level people are very happy. Another thing, the maximum demand, that is many village level cooperatives are having small DG. When the case of power failure, the power through the standby generator is also getting overloaded. Such problems is also eliminated in this case. Already we have installed 155 HRUs, that is heat recovery units, in BMCs across MRCW. Of course, our employees are much contributing for the system. That is why in the induction time itself, induction training to newly recruited covers energy conservation as one of the topics covered by the department head. We are teaching. We have an intensive training for the all new recruitees. That is for 3 days program. In that, the concerned discipline, that is procurement wing or production or marketing, will be taught in detail, and in seconds they are taught about HR and finance, as well as engineering, as well as energy conservation practices followed by MILMA. That is Malabar Union is also taught. That is why they will be getting a culture, that is how to conserve energy, as well as how to contribute to environmental friendly working. Also, annual training with FFSA, that is we are coming under food processing category. That is why we are having Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, that license, protocol we have to follow. ISO protocol, we are all our dairies are certified under 22,000, and along with that we are giving energy conservation training in each and every batches. Also, for task oriented, that is along with energy audit, post and pre-audit, we are giving to all technical staff. Average mandate training provided per employee is 1 point. That is 1 point mandate in a year. We are giving that much training to employees. I have not covered the milk powder plant, conservation of milk powder plant, as well as condensing plant, since at present we are not running any of that plant. 2 plants are coming up, one condensing plant at 3 KLPH at Wayanad Dairy, and one powder plant, milk powder plant, is proposed in our new premises, that is at Malappuram. That is due to during last flood situation, we couldn't transfer much of our milk for conversion to other states because of roadblocks and other problems during that time. Also, during that COVID period, that is from last April-May month, due to COVID, this fear of COVID, many transporters are hesitating to run tankers. That is why we have proposed one milk powder plant to make us self-sustainable in milk powder plant also. That is why we proposed, and it will be materialized during next year or so. Next. We have a project of UNIDO GEF-BE project, that is funded by GEF. That is one training across Kerala is going on. All dairies are covered under that. It is headed by our apex body, that is Kerala Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation. That training also is extended to our people. Then coming to energy audit, though we are not coming under designated consumer, but mandatorily we are doing energy audits each and every 3 years, and before and after the energy audit, the entire details findings from the energy audit, it is discussed across the section heads as well as technicians, so that energy conservation awareness is extended to each and every employee of Malabar Union. It is another training. We have many days: energy conservation day, milk day, other day, that type of every training we are including many programs. That is MUCON. MUCON is milk, energy, water conservation. That is milk conservation is also, that is material conservation is also one of our objectives. That is why we are included that also in our continuous learning process. This is another training, that is our auditors. Our auditors, the training is extended by the auditor itself to our engineers so that they will be having better knowledge on energy audit, so that doubts can be cleared at each and every level, so that audit findings can be implemented easily, and any doubts having, they can clear the doubts. Next. That is another scene, that is doubts are cleared with illustrations and exercises. Next. There is energy audits we have conducted from 2004 itself. It was conducted by PCRA in 2004. After 3 years, again PCRA, then come to ANERT, then Atul Engineering, then CIA has done last 2018-19. CIA has done, supported by UNIDO GFB projects across dairies. That is the audit findings what we have getting from the audits are implemented based on its merits, and if some capital investment has to be done, it is done through our capital budgeting or special sanction through our top management. These awards and recognitions got in Malabar Union in 2005 itself. We got 2 dairies, Palakkad and Calicut dairy got awards. 2006 again Kasaragod dairy, 2008 Kasaragod and Palakkad. Then 2010 we got Best Energy Manager award by EMC. In 2014, 17, 18, and 2019 we got National Energy Management Award, that is National Award by SEEM, that is Society of Energy Engineers and Managers, in the All India Energy Conclave in 2019 at Delhi. This is the award receiving photo. That is State Award, Energy Award, run by Wayanad Dairy, Calicut Dairy. It is various dairies. That is Certified Energy Manager 2010. Then Energy Conservation Day. We are celebrating the Energy Conservation Day with many programs. That is energy oath. Even unskilled, that is, you can see that Kudumbashree ladies used in employed in packing section, they are also taught about energy, the importance of energy conservation. Energy Conservation Day celebration is also extended to all level of employees, since energy is very important. Since if we are not getting time to train the people, we are going to the place where they are working, and we are 10 or 15 minutes teaching will be there. That is why it is it may not be a auditorium based or a presentation based. It can be, the teaching can be done at any level, any place. This is our earlier we have a LED bulb distribution to public, that is credit by our credit society at subsidized rate, and even at free of cost to employees. That's all about energy conservation. I have covered only major chunk of energy conservation activities what is practiced in Malabar Milk Union, and many of the things are left due to time limitations by EMC, that is maximum 1 hour, that is limited. That is I am it is almost over. Any questions you can extend to me.
Yes, thank you, Managing Director, Malabar Milma. It was an excellent session. So, sir, before proceeding to the questions, we have a few questions in the chat box. Before reading that question, I would like all delegates present here to submit your feedback, because we have shared Google Form link in the chat box. Kindly, all of you fill the feedback regarding the quality of the session, the content, and the I think a lot of questions are asked. So that we will be getting an opportunity to improve session in the future also. We have a lot of questions remaining till March of 2021. So any kind of upgradations also we can do. So kindly, all of you, please fill the feedback form. Sir, shall I start reading the questions?
Please, Anish.
Yes. Sir, one of the delegates had asked why Trigen plants are not preferred in dairy sector to maximize the use of available heat.
Pardon, I am not getting.
Sir, I will read once more. Is my voice clear, sir?
Voice is clear. Is the chat box is open now?
Yes, sir. And this question was asked somewhere before. I will read the question once again. Why Trigen plants, this trigeneration plants, are not preferred in the dairy sector to maximize the use of available heat?
No, I am not getting that question. Trigeneration.
Yes, yes. Why trigeneration plants are not preferred in the dairy sector so as to maximize the use of available heat?
Okay. Since this main thing is the reliability of the plant, that is, dairy plants are working 24/7 across the year without any breakage. Any chances in the plant breakdown or something cannot be tolerated by dairy plants. Even 1 or 2 hours breakdowns, it cannot be tolerated by the dairy plants. That is why I don't think any dairy is using Trigen plants. I think so. Since the most reliable things, that is, in each and every food processing plant, highly perishable food processing plants, especially milk and other things, we can't stop the process. We can reschedule the process, but stopping the entire dairy will be very, very, very critical, and we can't afford like that. That may be the reason. If I am wrong, you can correct me.
Yes, sir. I guess it is the correct answer. And I will proceed with the second question. Sir, have you implemented power quality mitigation initiatives in the plants, in any plants?
Power quality in the sense, when we are using VFDs, power quality, that is harmonics. I think this question is with respect to harmonics.
Yes, sir. I think.
We have faced some problem when we are using especially in our central products dairy at Bepur, since many small motors with the VFD are working there. In that the power quality is an issue. Another thing, power quality, that is from KSEB also. It is sometimes, since in this Nallalam Bepur area, many electric induction furnaces are there in Chappal industry as well as in steel pre-rolling mills. That entire power supply from the KSEB, that quality is affected, and much of our motors are also affected with the power quality issues. That is, they may not be using harmonic filters or so. That is why we are also fallen problems in that case. As in our case, when we are using the VFDs, we use harmonic filters as well, so that much problem is not affected in our process and such activities.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thanks for the answer. And also adding to that, we are also receiving the energy audit reports of different sectors like dairies and different similar MSMEs. So, in my opinion, what I have to add is, see, whenever energy efficiency we have to bring in, we have to depend on new technologies. So, whenever we depend on new technologies, this more electronics will come. So, this power quality will be there. It is inherent. So what we have to do is we have to make sure the loading also has to be proper. The motor loading has to be matched, and whatever power quality issues are, we have to confirm that these devices meet with as of now we have the IEEE 519 standard. So whatever VFD or whichever things you procure, please ensure that it is meets with such standards. And the remaining, if more harmonics are there, we can opt for filters. Active different type of filters are there. So you can also we also promote you to do the energy audit. Those people who have concerns that you do an energy audit, yeah, sir, then we will see that. Sir, I will proceed with the
I can add on that when we faced this issue, we called Mr. Jairam as a consultant and to solve this issue, and finally we realized that the power quality affected by us, it is due to the KSEB power supply problem. It is not it was not with our problem, it was the incoming supply problem due to usage of much harmonic injection to the system by the other industries in that area.
Yes, sir. No, that you are correct, sir. Because the people think that power quality issues is only due to harmonics. It's not like that. Power quality issues are with different quality issues are there, like dips and swells, even then flickers. So we under voltage or voltage. So different power quality parameters we have to see. As sir rightly told that there is some problem with the utility supply. So that also will be there. So whenever you do, you measure, you can find out. That is what we tell in the energy audit.
Okay.
So, can I go with the third question, sir?
Please.
Yes, sir. Is the variable frequency drive possible to be used in ammonia compressors?
Ammonia compressors in the reciprocating and the other high-speed compressors, we are not using. At present, we are noting. We have proposed actually that VFD in ammonia compressors is very well suited with screw compressors. Screw compressors where the capacity control, that is almost 30% to 100%, that is capacity control is also possible. It is much relevant to these screw compressors. In the case of reciprocating compressors, it is not much used. And the savings due to VFD is not much affected in case of ammonia, this one, reciprocating compressors. Of course, you can install as well as in screw compressors, it is well used, and we are going for screw compressor in the next project. In that case, I can contribute much, since my experience in our dairy, it is hands-on experience what we have, and it is not a theory-based thing. That is why it is possible to use in ammonia compressor also, but it is not much practiced in our industry.
Thank you, sir. I will proceed with the next question.
Another thing, in contributing to that question itself, the amount in reciprocating compressors, the oil pump is connected with the same shaft itself. Then oil pump, if the speed is compromised for reducing the capacity, the speed of the oil pump also gets reduced and lubrication affects much. That is another reason in the case of reciprocating compressors. But in the case of screw compressors, we can very well use it.
Okay, thank you.
Please.
Okay. Sir, I will proceed with the next question. What are the savings done in ETP? I guess it is effluent treatment plant.
Okay. In ETP, in our ETP, it is biological, biological accelerated ETP. It is having one surface aerator in the initial equalization tank. Then the effluent is pumped to the anaerobic filter. Then anaerobic combustion is taken place. Then it is coming to aeration tank. Then it is coming to clarifier, and it is discharged through a V-notch. Like that, it is the flow process. In the case of equalization tank, that is raw effluent sump. That is effluent at various densities and various cleaning materials, along with the various milk solids also coming in the raw effluent sump. In that effluent sump, if you are putting a surface aerator or the mixing chamber, we can use with a small time delay. That is, we can run that surface aerator half time. That is, 50% of the time it will be working and 50% of the time it won't be working. Whatever it may be, 50 or 30 or every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes it may work. Like that, we can put off the surface aerator or the floating aerator, whatever it may be. We can use like that. In anaerobic filter, it is fully enclosed. It is no question of any power consumption. Main thing that we can do in the surface aerator or floating aerator, it can be done with the switch on switch off method by some auto devices, electric auto devices. I think that we are practicing, but the savings in that mode, it is much limited, since it is required to work. The surface aerator as well as floating aerators has to work almost 90% of the time. Then only the required treatment will be imposed in required treatment will be available in the effluent. That is by design itself. If it is over designed, it can be done, but it is optimal design, then there won't be much conservation efforts. Conservation effects can be implemented in the ETP, surface aerator as well as the floating aerator.
Yes. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I think few more questions are coming, so I will read that. Again, one question collected with this power system. How to solve issues with the power factor having different types of equipment using in different area of the dairy sector? I think it's a very basic question. You already explained regarding the APFC panels for fine tuning of.
APFC panel, when we are putting the APFC panel near the main power panel, but in the case of motors having HP above 50 kW, we are putting static capacitors, that is near to the load. It is the best practice. But in the case of, since dairy industries are using many small motors, it is better to have an APFC. But in the case of higher rated motors, that is 50 kW or above, we can put static capacitor near to the load itself. It is also practiced. Unnecessarily switching on, switching off, that thing won't be there. Then entire system, that is when the capacitor is placed near to the load, it will be most effective, and the switch gears as well as cable is also protected, I think. Please.
Okay, sir. I think for fine tuning, we can go for APFC. Feeder wise, we can go for feeder compensation also. That's what in precise. So, yes, sir. I will proceed with the next question. What is the energy saving when moving from solar heating to heat recovery?
Yeah, solar heating, in the sense we have to, since it is as early told, the dairy industry as well as primary milk cooperatives has to work 24 all the round the year. That is, evening and morning milking will be there. Then in the case of solar water heating during the winter years as well, winter days as well as in rainy days, the hot water available from the solar water heating will be very less. That is, temperature will be lesser. But we can't compromise the quality, since each and every unloading of the milk vessels, that is tanks or cans, we have to clean. Since we are running the BMC, that is small refrigeration units, in each and every BMC. BMC means bulk milk cooler. The refrigeration system is there, then heat rejection will be there. That rejected heat is used for heating the water. Then if the compressor is running, there will be heat rejection, then there will be heat recovery. That is, hot water quantity and temperature is assured from whatever, if it is a summer day or winter day, rainy day, whatever it may be. the hot water quantity as well as the temperature is assured. That is why the importance of heat recovery system in BMCs. Another thing, when the heat recovered from the BMCs, the system efficiency of the compressor, that is refrigeration system itself, will get, that is the condensing, the hot gas will be condensed much, and the system efficiency will increase. That is another added advantage.
Okay, sir. I will thank you for that answer. I will proceed to the second question. Is it possible for dairy industry to replace conventional vapor compression refrigeration cycle with vapor absorption refrigeration system? If yes, which one is better?
It is a theoretical question also. Vapor compression as well as vapor absorption system, it is both, technically both are adopted, but reliability is an issue. In vapor compression system, the compressor will work and it will produce. It is 100% reliable for the last almost 50-60 years. Indian dairy industry is working on vapor compression system. In case of vapor absorption system, the lithium bromide, the crystallization of lithium bromide is a main problem. And if it is happened due to one or other reasons, the entire plant has to stop and it has to be cut open. And I think so. I have not faced any problem. I have seen the prototype plant working, but in the case, it is very problematic, very difficult to solve the problem when the problem comes in the case of vapor absorption system. And I think one system was there in Le Méridien, Cochin earlier, some 10 or 15 years back. They were used for their hospitality that industry. That it was failed. It was through one reputed company, and it was they also not gone with that system, since the reliability issue in the hospitality industry is, if it is so serious, then what about in food industry? We can't tolerate such problems. That is why it is much not used, though it was much explained in the class sessions and in seminars and all, but it is not adopted as a 100% foolproof technology. That is my experience from this field.
Okay, sir. We will proceed with some 2 or 3 questions, then and we will wind up the session because you are also patiently waiting. Yeah, sir. Okay, so can you please explain energy saving in a desuperheater? I think it was already explained.
It is explained. The desuperate is nothing. The heat of superheat. That is, if you are coming to ammonia refrigeration cycle, you consider the cycle. You just imagine the cycle first. Then heat of superheat. That is after compression. That superheat. This heat of superheat is taken back, and it is then after that it is coming to condensing. Then this condensing, the entire gas is not condensed in the condenser. Before condenser, the superheat is taken away with the useful water. It is not rejected to atmosphere. That rejection of heat to atmosphere is avoided, and that heat is saved, and it is used for some useful utilities. That is the theory of desuperator. He can email me. He can email to my email ID so that I can send that details how it works. You just inform.
Okay, sir. One more question. Any of idea implemented during high temperature fluid to cooling in pipeline to reduce chilling consumption? I'm also not.
That question is
itself is. Yeah, I will try to rebuild it. Any of idea implemented during high temperature fluid? If any fluid is high temperature, to cooling in pipelines to reduce. I'm also not sure. We'll leave that question. The next question, in the company, did you implement any of the plant analysis and and centralized escalation system. It's regarding some policy issues he's asking, I think.
Did you implemented any planned analysis and centralized escalation? I'm not getting that.
I think
centralized escalation.
Yeah, some energy policy or something. Any failure or any increased loss in an equipment, some escalation. I think it's a management level. I think. Okay.
Solar water absorption.
So one more question, sir. Can solar-based water absorption refrigeration system, I think the solar-based VAM chilling, can be implemented in typical dairy of 2 lakhs per day capacity? On practical basis, what are the major drawbacks? I think the more precise he is asking whether he can go for solar-based warm chiller for a typical dairy, which is the production is 2 lakh liters per day capacity. Any other feedback from your side he is asking?
In that case also, this one, I think in what absorption system, refrigeration, that is vapor absorption system, only the sensible heat is got. We have to have a very abundant size of still water storage system is required. In the ammonia system, we can have 2 types, that is sensible heat as well as latent heat. That is, we have stored in IBT, ice bank tank, we will be having ice blocks as well as ice water. That is, we are using sensible heat as well as latent heat of evaporation. Latent heat of fusion. Latent heat of fusion as well as sensible heat is used. In the case of this one, water absorption, it is water absorption? It is vapor absorption. Vapor, it may be vapor absorption. Vapor absorption system, we will be getting only sensible heat. I think so. But I don't think 2 lakh liter dairy we can go for such a system with much ambiguities and without any technical background. We can't go. Maybe a question, but I don't think so. It may be problematic.
Okay.
Liability is an issue.
Okay, sir. I got concern. So, so far, whatever questions are pasted in the chat box, we have asked, and our speaker has given very good answers based on his vast experience in this dairy sector. And I think there are no more questions left. And those of you who need any concerns, you can email to us, or you can email to the speaker also. You can send your queries to like that. And also, based on these all questions we have discussed here, we will prepare a question and answer booklet, and we will mail this to all the participants along with the recorded video of this webinar, which will be available from the YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. Our Energy Management Center is also having a YouTube channel. From that YouTube channel, you can see this video of the recorded webinar. Not only this one, all the webinars which happened in the past 2-3 months also you can watch from the YouTube channel. The link URL of the particular webinar we are seeing here, that we will share you along with the question answer. So any other further questions, we will take it from the speaker and we will send back to you. So as a closing remark, I express my sincere gratitude, and I'm very much thankful on behalf of EMC for sharing your valuable time with your busy schedule as per your routine work there you are having there in your dairy plant, and your continuous effort to keep the energy efficiency and energy conservation as a key value to the company policies. So I wish all of the people working in the sector will come up with such similar efforts, and that's all from my side. So anything to add, sir?
I thank you for the excellent support by you, Mr. Anish, and all the participants. I acknowledge the constant support by Energy Management Center as well as Bureau of Energy Efficiency, who are giving technical as well as financial support for these webinars in energy series, as well as my colleagues, especially my energy manager as well as engineering head, Mr. Premanand, and his engineers, and all the officials of Malabar Milma for the excellent support extended for this webinar and extending our experiences as well as our experiences as well as best practices across our dairies, right from Palakkad to Kasaragod, and all the dairy managers as well as the department heads, each and every department of Malabar Milma. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And last but not least, I thank wholeheartedly all the participants who have participated in this session and have been patiently waiting till the end of the session. I think we had got registration from 150 participants, but we have got only 55 participants in this session. So I once again ask all the participants to kindly submit the feedback. If not submitted, I can see only 30 feedbacks has come. 55 people have attended, so kindly those who have not submitted, kindly send the feedback, and that's all from my side. So shall I end the session, sir?
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Anish.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Sir. Thank you to your team also. Okay.